Welcome to Legacy Battle. Make sure you hit like and subscribe and that notification button. I'm Michael Adams, creator of Legacy Battle. My co-host tonight from the Gridiron Battle Zone, Brian King. We are joined, as you can see, by two special guests tonight. They are a married pickleball couple. We've got an interview for you with both of them. Megan, she is a member of the Seattle Pioneer, and then we got Ryler over there. He is on the Frisco Pandas. So we got two Major League pickleball players here for us tonight. And we're going to jump right into our Q&A. First question is going to be for Megan Fudge here. So Megan, born in Germany, how did you make your journey to the U.S. and when did your passion for tennis start? Because I know you started in tennis.
Yeah, great question. My whole family played tennis growing up. So my dad's actually a director of tennis at a big club in Germany. And as soon as I was able to walk, it was part of my journey to learn tennis. So I lived and grew up on the tennis courts in Germany on the red clay. So that was how I got into tennis. And then when I was getting recruited about my senior year in high school, I got recruited by University of Illinois, along with a couple of other schools in the States, to come over to play college tennis. And I flew over to America for my first time ever coming over on my recruiting trip. And I flew into the cornfields of Champaign, Illinois, and never looked back. But no, I was like, all right, I guess I do this for a semester or two and see if I can play college tennis and get my education paid for as well. And then I met my husband, Ryler, who was in college at University of Illinois as well. And we yeah, we hit it off and I'm still stuck here.
So our other guest, Ryler DeHeart, Brian will start out with a question for him.
All right, Ryler, it's great to talk to you. You played pro tennis for a handful of seasons prior to pickleball. You were able to be ranked up in the top 200 back in 2010. So how would you describe your time on the tour?
It was good. Yeah, tennis was my whole life, just like Megan. We both played college tennis, like she said, and then it was kind of the natural progression for me. I always wanted to play pro, so went out there and gave it a go. Played for about 6 years, as you said, and I wanted to play longer, but kind of cut my career short with some injuries and meeting Megan, and then we got a dog, and it was all kind of over from there. But no, it was a good time. It was a grind. It's not easy. It's a tough sport being international. You're traveling a ton, living out of a suitcase, and probably not making as much money as you would think if, being like top 200 in a extremely, global and popular sport, you're still not making very much money. At least back then when I was playing. It's gotten a little bit better now, but it's a very tough sport to make a living. But I don't regret it. It was a great experience, and I enjoyed my time out there on the tour for sure.
So Megan, University of Illinois, you meet your husband Ryler there. What brought you from tennis to pickleball?
Yeah, after I was kind of done with tennis, after college. So as soon as I graduated college, I actually flew out to Paris to watch Ryler play at the French Open. And I knew that I wasn't going to play professional tennis. My game style was more of a grinder. It was going to be brutally hard to make it on the tour, especially in women's tennis is like really very, very limited opportunities, worse pay than for the men. So I knew tennis was necessarily on the way out for me. I was able to dabble, and there's a couple of different other sports as well. I got into running, did some marathons, half marathons, and then I got into biking and swimming as well. So I did a half Ironman after my son was born, and COVID hit, and obviously everybody's on lockdown. We were living in Orlando at the time, and we started hearing more and more about this pickleball thing, and we're like, oh well, I mean, it sounds interesting, and we're very competitive, and we still have pretty good hand-eye coordination. And I was like, what if we just chalk up a court in the backyard, and in the driveway, and we could probably try this pickleball thing. So we bought some paddles at Walmart, and we chopped up this court, and we just started like hitting the ball over the net, and we're like, oh, okay, like weren't quite clear on the rules, but within about 10-15 minutes, everybody's still kind of in their houses, but we were just in our backyard, and people started looking outside their window watching us play because we started getting very competitive, keeping score, of course. And that was kind of our first taster into pickleball. And then after the shutdown and lockdown was down, finished, we moved to St. Pete and looking for opportunities to meet other people at that time, with couples with kids, ideally. And people kept on saying, like, go play pickleball, go check out pickleball. And I was like, gosh, we're really not that old. I feel like we're just going to meet a bunch of old people and at pickleball. But we finally caved, and we showed up at this country club that had open play, paid our $7, and never looked back. We just like we definitely got creamed by some old guys in the first game, and it was like, oh gosh, we gotta maybe try to practice a little bit more. But no, we met this other couple with some kids as well. We became really good friends with them, and they became our like coaches, I would say. They saw our potential, but they also saw that we had no clue what we were doing. And Steve and Val, they are still really good friends of ours, and they just like took us under their wing and guided us through the process of pickleball and told us we should practice and drill and figure this whole thing out because we could be really good at it. And yeah, and it was a crazy. This was 2 years ago, so it was really, really fun to see. It was so fun to see the improvement so fast. Obviously, they always say it's easy to learn and hard to master. I feel like we're right in the middle of that.
So, Ryler, to take it back to 2010, you were able to be a doubles partner in Hawaii with one of my all-time favorites, Kevin Anderson. Really underrated talent, in my opinion. What was that experience like playing with him?
Yeah, that was great. I mean, Kevin and I are good friends. We played 2 years together at Illinois, and then we played on tour.
Nice.
He was kind of like his beginning of his pro tour was kind of like tagging along with me. I drove him to all the tournaments. We drove together, and then we played a lot of doubles together. And then he just got too good and left me behind. But he was like 5 in the world, I think, and two Grand Slam finals. So
Right.
had an amazing career. But yeah, he was fun to play doubles with. He's 6'7" and has a massive serve. So that was I didn't have to have great volley when I was playing with him.
Funny story about Kevin. Last year, I got to pick out a celebrity from the University of Illinois to play Danny Werfel's pickleball event. It's a pickleball charity event. And I asked Kevin if he would play because he had just retired from tennis. And Kevin was like, I've never played pickleball, but I'm willing to give it a try for charity. And so we came out, and that morning he was like, okay, we got to show up early. Okay, we got to show up really early. You got to get me warmed up. You got to get me going in this pickleball thing. First 2-3 shots, he like whiffs the first one. The ball, he was like, the ball's not bouncing, Megan. I'm just like, can you aim higher? Because he's 6'7". I mean, he's a huge guy, like doesn't bend his knees. Like, I'm just like, Kevin, you're going to have to get really low on this. Like, you're going to have to get really low, but you can reach into the kitchen. Like, I'm like guiding him through this. But he got better so fast, obviously. And by the end of the day, he was really into it. And we got third place, actually. We lost to Casey Patterson and Chuck Taylor in the semifinals, which was a really good match. But it was just funny watching Kevin in this environment where you think he would excel really fast, but I was like, the ball just doesn't bounce. Like, I'm too tall for this game. But yeah, it was fun competing with Kevin.
Well, and welcome Rollo Coughlin from Steelers Nation South. Go ahead, Rollo. You got next question.
So, pickleball is one of the fastest growing sports in America. It is growing in popularity overseas. What do you attribute that popularity to, and why do you think it's so popular amongst the younger crowd as well?
That's a great question. Honestly, we had the opportunity to go over to England for the English Open. It was powered by the APP Tour, so we got invited to go over to represent the pros, the American pros, and honestly, the excitement was through the roof. I mean, the energy, the people's just enthusiasm of us, the Americans, being there and bringing pickleball to them. I mean, it was 1,000 registrations. We were doing pro-ams, clinics. Any minute we had open, they were booking us for stuff. And the energy was just like, yeah, I mean, like, and this is Europe, I mean, everybody's saying, oh, Europe's obsessed with padel, but honestly, like, they love pickleball. They just don't have the infrastructure yet. But it's so fun to see that the growth happen. It's going to exponentially grow across the world as it did in America the last 3 years. I think it's just a matter of time and a matter of us helping them create that infrastructure to have the courts, to have the paddles available, the balls available. But I mean, paddle companies are there. The entire English team was decked out in Pro XR. The Spanish team had their own, there was some Selkirk, not necessarily that big. Franklin's getting really big over there. Gamma's been in Europe for a while now. So, but they had a couple other paddle companies, I think maybe from Padel originally. But no, I mean, I think a lot of it is coming from the fact that it's so easy to learn and it's so extremely social, that anybody from that wants to give it a try. I've never met anybody who was like, oh, I hate it. Like, everybody's like gives it a try, and they're in the right environment. So like the skill level isn't too drastically different. People will just engage and enjoy it, I think. Even if you're not that competitive by nature, you can just enjoy the social aspect of it. There's just so many components to pickleball, from the technical, tactical, social, emotional, being outside and exercising. Like, there's so many components that you can just embrace yourself in.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an easy sport to like pick up too. You just, you get a couple paddles and a ball, and you can chalk off a court like pretty much anywhere, with a temp net. So like if, Padel, for example, I mean, you kind of have to like have a $30,000-$40,000 court, even more, I've heard, to build some of those courts. And it's like pickleball is kind of like, I don't know, I would equate it to like the racket sport of like, kind of like basketball, where you can go out, you have a ball and a hoop, you can kind of play basketball, so like pretty much anybody, or soccer, where the kids, if they have a ball, they can go kick a ball around and play soccer. It's just it's like very easily accessible to play. And then like, as far as like tennis, I think you guys probably want to talk about that later, but like, you can fit about 3 or 4, or sometimes 4 if you squeeze them in, pickleball courts on a tennis court. So it's kind of like a numbers game. It's like, do you want 4 people playing, or do you want 16 people, sometimes even more, if they're waiting and they're all kind of playing in and switching around? And so like, you can have like 20 to 30 people in the same space as you could have like really 4 people playing tennis. So it's like, it just, numbers wise, that's kind of why it's gotten so popular, in my opinion. I think the easily accessibleness of it, and then just the sheer numbers, as far as like making money. I mean, because that's what a lot of these clubs, they look at their space and they're like, well, I can have 25 people playing a sport paying, or I can have 4 people. Which one am I going to do? It's kind of like a no-brainer. So
what has life been like traveling in an RV to tournaments? And is it easier doing it with a spouse, or are there times where maybe you feel you need a little space? I mean, how's that working out for you too?
Yeah,
some space.
It's been honestly, we haven't had much time to reflect yet this year to see if it's really like what we want to do, but it's just been nonstop on the go. But basically, our first year playing pro pickleball was last year, and there were so many trips on the airplane and rental cars, Airbnbs and hotels, and together with 2 kids and the 2 of us trying to play and make this work. And, and while also trying to recover in between tournaments and train and all these things, we were spending so much time trying to get back to Florida. And we're just like, I just don't know if this is working. I don't know if we're going to be burned out so fast. It's just so much on our body, and so it's like, okay, what would be an opportunity for us to kind of make this work as a family? And so we were like, okay, what about an RV? Like, our friends have an RV, our friends that don't play pickleball, they're kind of talking about their RV, and we're like, gosh, it's such, it's a great space. We love to travel. We like to kind of enjoy the journey, not just the playing of pickleball. And this would be a great opportunity for our family to embrace more of a journey. And so Ryler was very hesitant at the beginning and was like, what are you thinking? You are crazy. But I was like, well, I was listing more and more of the pros of, having an RV and how we could maybe transition. And initially we kept our house in Florida, in St. Pete area. And we just did the Florida trips to tournaments and came back to the house and just kind of like, okay, did this work? Yes, this worked, and this didn't work. We stayed on site. We stayed at campsites. We stayed at courts. So we're trying to figure how it all worked, but it was a gradual transition. And then March came, and Ryler was the one, we're like, we're done with the house. We don't need it. We're staying in the RV. Works better. Our kids get stability by feeling like they're coming home, which is our home on the wheels every day, no matter where we are in the country. It creates stability for them and familiarity. For us, it was just easier because, you know, we are sleeping in our own beds. We have a kitchen, we have a fridge. Our recovery after matches were just better that way, so that we were ready to go for the next day again. There were just too many components that just spoke for it, that we're just like, okay, let's do this. Let's try it. And we hit the road, and we just haven't looked back yet.
It's a much easier way to travel. It's a much more efficient, economical way to travel. I mean, you have to drive, obviously, and gas is pretty expensive, but you know, you're saving money on the hotels, the cars. You know, we can eat here a lot, so we don't have to eat out every meal. And so there's just so many factors, like Megan said, that makes it a lot more efficient for our whole family to do it, rather than us like packing, traveling, flying, this amount of time you spend waiting in airports and just all that stuff. It's just such a pain. So it's like, you know, we can drive, as long as we're not driving across the whole country, you know, then it's pretty doable. So,
which we have done that too.
We've done that a few times.
We went from New York all the way to San Clemente for MLP, but we knew that we were going to be in California for 4 tournaments, so it made sense. We've done a couple of trips where we're just like, okay, we're only going for 1 trip, and this drive would be, you know, 10 plus hours. Doesn't make sense. Let's get on an airplane. So we have done that this year as well, and just left the RV in a spot. But logistically, we've been trying to get to places in the RV when possible.
Good, Brian.
I think the other cool thing about it is, like, you can kind of, like we were talking about the other days, you can like make your home wherever you want, as long as you can plug in somewhere. Like right now we're at Dreamland, you know, literally we just plug in and we're kind of like, okay, our house is right here and we can practice. And we have a friend in we're in Colorado? Boulder, yeah. And so like his facility, we could just like plug in right next to the courts, and we could be in Boulder for a week and play there. And so it kind of gives you like the flexibility to be wherever you want, you know, which is nice.
Yeah.
So
nice. Well, Ryler, I mean, as we've been saying, the popularity of pickleball has grown quite a bit over the past several years. We'll likely see it to grow in the future. Speaking of the future, I understand you and Megan have 2 children, Lily and JR. And they're already working towards maybe being part of the future of the sport as well. So, what can you tell me about your children there and where they're at with pickleball?
Yeah, so they started in tennis. I was still coaching tennis last year in 2022, and then before that as well. And we started them doing some type of, you know, hand-eye coordination stuff and stuff with a racket in their hand ever since they could walk and move and stuff. So. And then they just kind of tagged along with me in my tennis lessons. So I would always have them drop hit balls and kind of work on the technique. And so they had like a good foundation in tennis. And then this past year, I stopped coaching and started playing full time with Megan. And then that was kind of just a natural progression for them to start playing more pickleball. And their games are coming along nicely. I was working today with Lily on her backhand. She was really loving that. She loves it when I coach her. So no,
there's a little sarcasm there.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, sometimes it's not easy coaching your kids. I wouldn't recommend
That's
it.
the truth.
But yeah, when they listen to me, they're great kids, and they are actually very good players now. They're playing probably at like a round of 3-0 level. They played a couple tournaments. They got bronze in singles at a 3-0.
How old are they now?
7 and 8.
7 and 8. Yeah, so they can play.
Okay.
You know? Yeah, so they go out there and, you know, people like adults will play them and they're kind of like, you know, oh, these kids are kind of small. And then once they see them hit the ball, they're like, oh man, okay, like, you know, they can, like, Lily can rip it. So,
nice.
So it's fun. But yeah, I want them to enjoy it, but I'm trying to find that balance. I also want them to have a good foundation where they're playing the right way and they're developing the right skills because, you know, as you know, I mean, I'm a big believer in, like, if you have a solid foundation, it takes you a long way. If you don't do things right when they're young, it's really hard to break those bad habits. So we're kind of working on that. But I've been coaching them for a while now, and I'm pleased with how it's going so far, and I'm excited to see them keep improving and playing more. So
that was the other fun thing in England. That was their first tournament, actually. They had at the English Open, they had a junior event, which was I thought the concept was great. Everybody had to play with everyone. Everybody rotated around. They basically had a 2-hour time slot on the court, and the parents were the referees and rotating around as well. And they just got to meet a bunch of other kids and socialize and play and learn from each other, and it was really fun. I'm hoping that we can help or support a pathway for juniors on the APP and PPA tour as well. Similar in that concept that it's just like more of a social rather than necessarily going for the medal. You know, it doesn't have to happen at the age of 8 where they're like just competing for the win. But actually, you know, meeting other kids and meeting other styles and supporting each other and working on teamwork. So there's so many more components than just, you know, the win and the loss and dealing with losses and wins. But no, it's been a fun journey. Obviously, Gamma Classic was their first adult tournament that they played in against JR. My little JR had to play this man with a huge big beard. That's all that JR could tell me. This guy has a huge beard, Mom. Like, so he was fascinated with the beard. But it was a really fun match, and people enjoyed watching the kids play, and people were asking me to live stream their matches, and it's fun. It's so exciting to watch them compete and develop and become these little competitors on the court. Obviously maybe a little reflection of us out there, but no, it's a really fun time to see them grow into this sport.
Ryler.
This is a question for both of you. So you both played at the University of Illinois, were highly decorated, super accomplished. What was your favorite moment about being on the U of I campus, and what do you remember most about being there? And will you push your kids there when they start playing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously University of Illinois has been a big part of you know, how I was able to come to America, how we were able to meet. It's been a big part of our journey. I wish we could get back to Champaign more often. We have taken our kids once now. We missed alumni weekend, actually. It was a big 20-year anniversary of them winning NCAAs during the Chicago Open, and he got so much crap from the guys for missing the reunion and going onto the football field for a pickleball tournament. They were like, for pickleball? You're missing this for pickleball? And Ryle's like, yeah, I have a contractual obligation to play the Chicago Open. And, you know, this is what I do for a living, guys. They just couldn't believe it. But no, I mean, Champaign is a great place. The football might not be the best, although I think they're getting better. I always remembered going to basketball games and actually women's volleyball. Always incredible atmosphere, and the spirit is really high. The Fighting Illini. Seeing my freshman year was the last year of the chief. So the Illini chief was retired my freshman year. So I remember the last dance of the chief at the basketball game was huge and was rather emotional for all the student athletes. But no, it was a fantastic 4 years of our lives, of my life. And Ryler got to have his 4 years prior to me, but then came back to Champaign to do his like off-season training and everything there as well, and that's when we actually met. But what's one of your favorite memories from there?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean,
besides winning
probably just winning NCAAs with the team my freshman year. Just being a part of the tennis program. I mean, it was a family, and I was still keep in touch with a lot of the guys, and the coach is still the same. He's been there since I was there, and he's a great guy, and still someone I talk to on a regular basis. So it was a great facility we had there, and just a great like family atmosphere at the tennis side of things. The tennis program was great. So that was probably my best memories. I was kind of just like a tennis student. I didn't, nerd, didn't do much else. So I think Megan had a little more fun than I did.
Well, Ryler was pre-med, but Ryler was pre-med as well. So he literally was just going from the tennis court to study hall. So he took definitely a hard path through college and was very serious about his tennis. He knew that this was going to just be a platform for his pro career. So he picked Illinois because all the guys on the team had this professional aspiration. And it was as he's always described to me, it was like 8 guys on the team that were training like pros. And that was, I think, is unique for college tennis. I mean, you always get 1 or 2 that's highly motivated and kind of pushing the team, but to actually get 8 guys that they know that they can make it on the tour afterwards. That's truly special, and I think that's why they did so well. As a team, they still have the record for most wins in a row. They went undefeated his freshman year, and then went undefeated until the semifinals of NCAAs that following year. So they still hold that record, which everybody said was not possible at an indoor school in in Illinois. So so it was nice for them to get that done.
You guys aren't our first Illinois athletes. We've had tight end Ken Dilger, played with the Colts and won a Super Bowl here with the Buccaneers. So
nice. Cool. That's awesome.
All right. So this one is for both of you as well. What can we expect in 2024 and beyond from the Seattle Pioneers, and then also from the Frisco Pandas?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously, I don't know how much you guys have dove into all the details of what's happening with MLP. And in 2024, we have signed a contract, a 3-year contract starting January 2024 to be part of Major League Pickleball. But what that actually looks like, we have not got any information besides the fact that we have committed to playing and to also playing on the APP tour. So we have the opportunity to continue our journey on the APP tour and show our loyalty and our support in what Ken Herman and Intersport has provided for us as a family all this year that we don't want to just walk away from. So we will hopefully play as many APP events as the MLP schedule allows. Now, when it comes to the draft, this season has just started. So we've been played our first event for Seattle and for Frisco, and we have 2 more events with them. But in 2024, apparently there will not be a draft. It won't be a draft process. It's going to be an application process where the teams will be renewed in some way or form, and we're very curious to hear how it all pans out. But as of right now, we have not seen an MLP schedule, and we have not seen how the teams are going to be formed or which team we're going to be on, or whether we're just going to be told what team we're on. And the owners just kind of have like a salary cap. I've heard rumors about that. I've heard
expansion. I've heard there's going to be expansion. I don't know how accurate that is, but
correct. I've heard 6 players per team. I've heard rumors of 1 league only, no challenger league. I've heard, so there's no factual. There's a lot of hearsay. So you can don't edit that out. These are rumors. I don't know anything confirmed. We are excited. We do really enjoy the Major League team atmosphere. It feels very much like college tennis all over again. But we also love the APP tour, and we'll be embracing the PPA tour at some point as well.
Yeah, I mean, the MLP format obviously is, they call it the greatest in pickleball, which I think, I mean, it's pretty unmatched in terms of like the environment, the atmosphere, playing for the team. Super exciting scoring format that comes down to the wire a lot of times, and the Dream Breakers, and I mean, it's genius what Steve Kuhn has done developing all that stuff. Yeah, as far as like the format goes, I think it's a little hard to like, develop like a team camaraderie and feel like you're a part of a team. Luckily for me, I was on the same team the whole season, last season with the Chicago Slice. That's unusual. Like Megan, I think, was on like 3 different teams. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like you run a different team every time, but yeah, and then my team hasn't changed, so for the next one I'll be the same. So that's nice, I think, when you can have the same teammates and kind of like build a team chemistry and learn how to play with each other, I think is important. But yeah, I would like to see maybe like one group. Like I'm not really like a huge fan of like separating the Premier and the Challenger League, because we don't really get to play those players, and I think it'd be cool to just like see everybody play against each other. So I think that would be kind of cool if they did that. But we'll see, like Megan said, on it, we'll see where it goes. We're just grateful to be a part of MLP, still being able to play and compete and make a living playing the sport. I never thought I would have another chance to, make a living playing a sport again. So I think I'm just need to be grateful for that. Even when I'm losing and playing like crap, that's what I tell myself out there. Just be grateful, So that helps me to not snap a paddle over my head.
That's good.
Or my knee. So pretty frustrating sport, not gonna lie. But it's fun. It's like hate it or love it. It's addicting, man. Like you get pissed off when you lose, and then you're like, then I want to like play the next day. I don't get it.
It's like golf.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, like you hit a bad shot and you want to throw your clubs in the woods, but then you're like, all right, let's go again. Like I can hit it better. You know, it's funny. So
This
anyway,
question's for Megan now. Megan, you and Judith, you have a bit of a rivalry going on now. Judith Castillo, you just faced her recently in Texas. So what can you say about competing against her?
Honestly, like Judith is a phenomenal player. I really love her game. I remember the first tournament I saw her play at, I played against her in Punta Gorda at the beginning of the year, and everybody was kind of like, "Oh, we got to watch out for this one," you know, new tennis player coming through. And she's just so sweet, you know, a real sweetheart. Obviously, very feisty on the court, but so am I. But I have a lot of respect for her. I think she has a phenomenal game, a great work ethic. She's committed to her journey, and no, I'm excited for her. She's, you know, still developing more and more her doubles game and her mixed game as well, which is and staying true to her singles. And you know, a lot of people, when they start getting the hang of doubles and mixed, they kind of jump ship from singles and give that one up. But no, she's a great person. I hope that people don't think that, you know, like we just because we compete so hard on the court that there's any kind of animosity or anything like that, but in no means. So no, I have a lot of respect for her.
So Ryler disappeared. He must get some water.
He's getting the kids
refreshment.
Yeah.
So this is a question for both of you. Who do you watch outside of each other? Do you really enjoy their game when they're on the pickleball court? Who do you look at and say, "Wow, they're phenomenal"?
that's a tough question.
Yeah, I should let him. This is how we order food too. So I don't give my answer until he knows his answer, because I don't want to influence his answer. Okay. But I can say, right. I try to watch a lot of tape. So I try to watch tape and watch players, and obviously one of the players I watched a lot of when I was first starting out was Vivian David. Vivian David is a phenomenal right side player. She can also play on the left, but she chooses not to. And just like her game style of resets to power, and how low she gets, it was just fascinating to me. So that was one of the players I love watching. And then obviously, you know, Annalie Waters. I mean, her power, her presence on the court, her demeanor, her tactical strengths. She has not a lot of people talk about how well she plays tactically. Everybody just talks about her power game and her balance, her athleticism, and all these other aspects. But honestly, if you watch her matches, she makes extremely good decisions. And so that's what I love watching, and trying to seeing if I can see what she's thinking, and try and predict where she's going just on tape. I haven't had a chance to play her much. I played her once in MLP format, but that's it thus far. But no, she's really fun to watch, and obviously the best in our game.
Thank you so much, Megan Fudge, Ryler DeHeart. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you both coming on. That's awesome.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you guys.
A reminder, everybody, hit that like, subscribe, notification button. Thank you for watching. We'll see you all next time. Everyone have a great night.